How does PTSD affect me today? It's an assault on the senses on every level. So a crowded room, you've got kind of noise, you've got background noise, you've got conversations, you've got people in your personal space, and it just gets all too much. And fight or flight is one way that I can describe it. I want to peel my skin off and run out of that room. Hi, my name's Daniel Arnold, 32, from Portsmouth. Served for 10 years in the 2nd Battalion, Princess of Wales's Royal Regiment. I had service in Northern Ireland, Iraq and Afghanistan. I was an infantier, so predominantly front line. What attracted me to a life in the military? I'm basically the exact demographic that the military looked for. Non-academic, bit of a thug, kind of bolshy, bit aggressive. I'd lost my way really, and it's all I ever wanted to do from being a young child. I was probably in trouble more often than not. But I absolutely loved it, like the camaraderie with the guys. I just kind of really fitted into that life. What triggered like my PTSD, without a shadow of a doubt, it was Afghanistan for me. One day for definite that sticks with me and resonates that I can talk about. We went out on an advance to contact, and what that is there was a prolific area of Garmsir called Fort Jugram, which was a Taliban stronghold. Just as soon as daylight broke, we were engaged and we were in contact with the Taliban. The very first rounds that came down hit one of the lads. We walked straight into an ambush, and there was an almighty bang. And I'm regaining myself. I was in an 8-foot cornfield with one lad next to me. We were completely blacked and sooted. An RPG had exploded kind of just in front of us, but the force was enough to have taken us off our feet. And as soon as I poked my head out, I was engaged. It got really desperate. I remember the lad looking at me like, are we gonna get out of here? In my heart of hearts, I couldn't see it. It was pretty bleak. I could hear kind of the company commander calling in a fast air jet. So they just assumed that we were dead, 100%. That would have been bad news for us. And that was probably one of the toughest days that I ever had to do, not only as a soldier, but as a commander, because I felt so accountable for the young lad that was with me. So after a decade of serving Queen and country, I left the army. I then started what was about a 2-3 year of partying, heavy drinking a lot, recreational drugs, and that went on for some years. There isn't a single part of my life that isn't touched or affected by PTSD. In social situations, my heart rate will start to race, I'll start to feel cold and clammy, I'll try to be absolutely present everywhere, and it can happen in the silliest of places. A recent trip to Winchester Christmas Market, that smell, that sound, the people in your personal space, the bustling, the jostling. I genuinely nearly broke down and cried in a high street. I describe myself as quite robust, and I get then kind of embarrassed, annoyed, upset, that every day I'm almost held a prisoner and held accustomed to this thing that kind of, I can be having the best of time at like quite a joyous seasonal time, and all of a sudden it comes crashing down. I am lucky to have had counselling and medical support. Not everyone is as fortunate. My friend Danny didn't get the help he needed.
My name is Viv Johnston. My son, Danny Johnston, served for 10 years with the British Army and 4 years with Special Forces. He took his own life in May 2018.
I served with him in the 2nd Battalion, and he was a great guy. He was kind of exemplary in what we did. He stood above everyone, really.
He was a lot of fun, very good at school. His manners were absolutely amazing. He was considerate and kind. If you were to score people on a scale of soldiers, he was in the top 1%. Danny was a perfectionist. Anything he did, he threw himself into 100%. He didn't want to be anything less than perfect. After he'd left the Special Reconnaissance Regiment, and he was pursuing a civilian life and job, We saw a change in Danny. He became withdrawn, moody, could not sleep. We knew he was in trouble. We knew that there was something badly wrong with his thinking.
Last May, Danny disappeared.
When the news come across social media that he was missing, it hit us all hard.
After 3 days of searching, Danny was found.
I was in a car park about half a mile away. Some of his ex-army colleagues came down and they found him in the woods, and they confirmed that it was him and that he was gone, he was passed.
We finally got the news that Danny's body had been found, and even to this day it rocked not just our veteran community but the wider veteran community. I couldn't process it. I was like, what? I couldn't compute. I was like, what, of all people, like Danny? Like, no, it didn't compute, it didn't translate.
Life is never going to be the same. Our family will never be the same. To live with losing a child is the worst thing that can ever happen. To lose your child is just not natural. It goes against nature to bury your child. But I've also found out what an amazing man he was. I always knew he was amazing, but all mums think that, don't they?
My name is SJ, I'm the co-founder of All Call Signs and an ex-member of the 2nd Battalion Princess of Wales's Royal Regiment.
3 months after Danny's death, SJ and I got together and set up an online support platform called All Call Signs. It's there to help veterans like me with PTSD when they need support.
You can click on a button and it will immediately connect you to somebody else that has signed up to be a listener. Currently we have over 300 listeners. On the Beacon application side, what we have is it's a Facebook Messenger powered bot that essentially sends out information. So if anybody goes missing in the armed forces community, we'll get that out to as many people as possible. Typically, a beacon will get seen by anywhere between 200,000 and 2 million people.
In America and Canada, the government keep track of how many veterans take their own lives. In Britain, we don't, but we really should.
While we don't have that information, the funding that is available to mental health services for veterans will always be lower than it needs to be. It's only by encouraging, through a point of law, coroners to record that information that we'll actually see a difference in that figure, and then we can allocate the funds that are actually needed to the veteran and serving community in order to make sure that they're being looked after from a mental health perspective.
I'm a beautiful boy. Can't even begin to describe how proud of Danny we all are. Not just the immediate family, but his friends, his colleagues. We are all so proud of everything he achieved and how well he did everything. I didn't have a clue. I couldn't help Danny because I didn't know who to turn to. We need more help.